So Carnival is just around the corner on Friday. I'm in a rush as always. So my son was to go as a construction site worker, but not any construction worker, but Luigi from the video game Mario Maker. So I got this pair of jeans in Primark, really cheap, 16 euros, and I'm going to make them into some overalls. Mommy delivering! So I got a helmet, which is a proper helmet from a hardware store, and it should be yellow, so I got paint as well. I have to paint it, and then I have some felt to make some Mario blocks, you know the ones I mean, later on. So plenty of things. He's supposed to be wearing as well a yellow top, a yellow t-shirt or jumper, and he'll be wearing one of his because with the overalls you won't see the motifs. So that's that. Why did I get this instead of buying a piece of fabric? Because I like the material. I didn't get any jeans like this in green, any jean material, so I thought this could do. So how can we transform a pair of jeans into overalls? Of course, you're going to need a bigger size. For example, this pinafore was a pair of jeans from my husband that he didn't wear, and I made it into this. They're really comfortable, and now I'm using it. So to do that, you're going to need a bigger size or make a shorter overall. And if you're like me and love upcycling, recycling and sewing in general, consider subscribing because I upload twice a week and that way you don't miss anything. And I leave you here my Instagram account as well in case you want to have a look. Of course, I have a pair of trousers of his to take the measurement, and then I have a jacket, a cardigan I just sewn together because it was ripping, and that way I know how much I need, although it's going to be how much I can get from here, and that's all. The first thing I'm going to do is to shorten the crotch line because it looks massive. If you see his trousers and these ones, they are so much longer, and it is because I got a bigger size. This is a size 7-8 years old and my son is only 4.5, so I got a bigger size to be able to get some fabric and do the overall part, but I don't want him to be uncomfortable. So I'm going to do that, just guiding myself with the seam it already has. It only goes around. So I'm going to do that and go down the leg a little bit, and that way I can use this for the straps because fabric is a bit tight. And now let's get rid of all this excess fabric and make sure we can use this for straps. Fear to cut something, of course, because I always upcycling is with something, usually with something you don't use anymore, and that's why you upcycle it. But buying something new to upcycle it, it's a bit risky, isn't it? So yes, I'm a bit afraid, of course I am. So these two pieces of fabric that I just cut from the legs, from the side seams, have the side seam and then a serger seam. So I'm going to get rid of the side seam so I can open them a little bit more and have a centimeter extra for the straps. Of course, overalls are closed on the front, so I have to open a side so he can put them on and take them off easily. So I'm going to be cutting this side bit, and leaving the side seam, only just the pocket bit, and then I'm going to put some pressure buttons. With my trousers open on this side, I can go on with the overall part. So with the two bits I cut from the legs, I'm going to cut them open along the side seams, and then I want to make them bigger. So I'm going to sew them right sides together, so all the hemline goes to the sides. I think it looks nice. And then I'm going to sew them with a bit of a dart, so it has a narrower top than bottom. I'm just realizing now my microphone stopped working, so let me tell you what I was talking about. After pressing my seam, I realized it was good to top stitch on it, because it looks really nice and it really goes with the feel of the jean. And even though sometimes we prefer to hide seams and do facings, for something like this, it looks really nice, and apart from that, it strengthens the seam and flattens it as well. And to sew the dungaree bit to the trousers, I didn't do it right sides together, but underneath the waistband. That way it looks nicer, you can still use the waistband and it doesn't look folded or weird at all. And if you get bored of it, you can get rid of it as well.
Día siguiente.
Well, it's the next day. I'm really happy about how I'm going, because I wasn't sure. I was quite nervous because even though I had my son's trousers as a model, I didn't know if it was going to be enough what I cut to do the overall part, and it was. It looks really nice on him, so I'm quite pleased. And there are things you don't realize until you have something in front of you. For example, I knew I had, when I cut this bottom bit, I knew I had to open it to make it wider, but I never thought of putting the old hem on the sides, and I think it looks really nice. I'm quite pleased with it. And so I have to put a button here to close it and it'll be done. And for the straps, I have a bit of fabric from the legs when I cut them, when I made it a bit narrower, but I haven't got enough to fold it and line it on the inside. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a different fabric I have from Sama. I cut this pair of trousers from my husband to make myself a skirt. If I had known, I would have kept them for this project, but anyways. So I'm going to put it right sides together and sew it to the straps. So these look quite good, so I'm going to attach them to the back and put them with the buckle on the front. So the straps weren't a problem at all. I just sewed them to the back, and because I didn't have enough fabric to make the little loops to put the strap in, I just managed to sew the buckle right on the overall with a zigzag stitch, so I didn't hit the metal, and it looks quite neat. And to the side I added a modesty panel here so it doesn't open. And to the side I added a little modesty panel here so it doesn't open all the way and he gets cold or anything. And that way I don't have to add lots of little buttons. Just one on top, it's enough. And now accessories. My son really loves a costume with accessories. Last year I made him a pirate costume, and he had his hat, a sword, and of course a parrot that I made him on his arm. And we didn't lose anything. He really enjoyed it, and he asked me this time because Mario has, well, not Mario, Luigi has some blocks on his hand, and he asked me for 3 blocks. So I'm going to start with one and see how I do it. We tried to make it with some craft foam, but it didn't work out. We couldn't really manage to stick it together, to glue it together, and it was a mess. So I told him, well, I make them for you in felt, and I have some black felt for the base, for the cube, and then some brown felt for the little bricks. The measurement really doesn't matter, it's not important, it's the one you feel comfortable with. So I was thinking, because he wants 3 and he's only a little boy, I'm going to make it 7 centimeters. So my cube is going to be 7 centimeters, and after trying a few times and a few trial and error, I decided that the right measurement for the bricks was 6 centimeters long and 2.5 centimeters tall. So that way you can see underneath the black, well, in between the spaces, but it's not too much space between the bricks. So I think it's good. And depending on your cube measurement, you have to adapt the brick. So I'm going to start sewing rows of bricks. I'm going to get to the corners, leaving the needle in and lifting the foot presser so I can turn the fabric. And then when I finish with one brick, I'm going to start with the next. I'm not going to cut any threads or anything. I'm just going to go on sewing, and then I'll cut everything. So this is my future cube. It looks nice, and as you can see, I haven't cut the excess bricks. I'm going to do that and interface it so it's a bit more stiff, because I think even though it's nice, I'm not sure if it will keep a square shape after I sew it together. So I'm going to interface it and then sew all the sides wrong sides together, except for one, which I'm going to use to push out, to push it right sides out, and then I'll sew it by hand after I fill it in. And to finish it, I'm not going to use pieces of fabric, pieces of little scraps to fill it in, although you can, because it's for the costume, so it'll be too heavy to have on you. So I'm going to do it with some wadding and pieces of stuff I have around, so it's not heavy, and I'm going to close it by hand. And for the little blocks, I'm happy with them, but they puff up, like they don't keep the square shape, you know what I mean? And I think it's because it needs some kind of foam inside, something a bit harder and a bit stronger. But they look nice, I think they look cute. It's for a costume and for him to play with, so it's okay. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to sew them on a hairband so he can wear them or carry them. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to sew them onto a hairband so he can carry them on his wrist, and he's not worried about losing them or anything like that. So overall, blocks and helmet already painted in yellow, he's ready. I really enjoyed doing this. He chose his costume and I was happy I could do it for him. It wasn't expensive at all. The pair of trousers was 16 euros, the felt is like 4 euros a meter or something like that, and what else? And the helmet was 4 euros. So it was okay, more or less. It's not too expensive. So let me know down in the comments what you thought, if you like this idea, and I'll leave you here a link to all the costumes I've done in case you need some inspiration. Bye!